Welcome back to the video blog. Daniel Mezei is my name. Thanks again for tuning in. This is Toronto. It's Monday. I hope you have a great week. So something I'm going to follow up on is something that I heard at 6 Pixels of Separation, which is Mitch Joel's great blog, and something about people today that don't have a social media presence, or people that are sketchy about social media, are in fact more of the outcasts today than the people that do have them. Remember back in the day in the 90s, where there was a mad rush to kind of colonize certain usernames on Yahoo or Alta Vista or whatever your email domain was at the time, or Hotmail, and you were trying to get some of the, I wouldn't call it the funkiest, but you were just trying to get the most anonymous but understandable email usernames that generally was a combination of characters and numbers that didn't personally identify you. In fact, the more anonymous you could be, the better it was. The more obscure you were, the better it was. And today that's not nearly the case. In fact, if you start sending people emails that either come from Gmails or Hotmail addresses or other public email platforms, perhaps Gmail not so much so, because it's very common today to have a Gmail address. It's quite a mainstream and quite indicative of your presence in the digerati. But if you send an email from an anonymous username, that doesn't have any kind of a bearing to your real identity, or if you go to your social media platforms, for example on Facebook, and you don't have a profile photo, or Twitter, of course that applies as well, or if you're not posting regularly on social media, or if you have a problem with social media, there's a problem. Invariably, the perception is with you, that you have a problem, because social media is so ubiquitous, and because there shouldn't really be a problem with you watching things online or sharing things online using a Google Plus account, for example, making available your various shares and likes and things like that. There's a problem with people who have a problem with sharing their identity online. In fact, we probably don't want to do business with people that have a problem using social media platforms. Governmental sectors, legal, paralegal, para-public sectors, everybody's on social media. Everybody's clamoring to have a Facebook fan page. Even the mayors of cities, the prime ministers and presidents, whether their staffs or themselves are actually doing the tweeting, everyone's doing it. So it's almost now, again, par for the course. And it's just amazing how the world turns. It's amazing how everything evolves. It's amazing, really, how what was once socially objectionable, where you would be ostracized for being a geek, for being somebody who was so present online, now it's just common. It's weird, but it's true. So again, just an observation, and power to people like Mitch Joel and that coterie of people that he deals with. Definitely power for noticing the fact that you just got to be there. You got to be online. I occasionally come across Facebook profiles that don't have profile photos. I don't know. I mean, who's to say that just because you don't keep a photo online on Facebook doesn't mean somebody can't track you down? Do you know what I mean? Are you not trackable? I mean, there are some people that are completely off the grid, but I think you do so at great cost. And one of my friends who absolutely refuses to use email still, of course he's older to this day, as I was recently to find out, finally capitulated and makes use of the web, for example, for things like Wikipedia and other resources. Okay, granted, they're more objective uses, without all of the time-sucking, time-wasting, self-indulgent activity that most people do online. But still, he capitulated. So, what does that say about him? Anyway, so I'm curious to know your thoughts. What do you think about people that are really squirrely and funny about social media platforms? I mean, email's a foregone conclusion. If you don't use email, it's like you don't use the telephone anymore, because most people now like to coordinate things by email. But curious to know, what's your experience on that? Wishing you and yours the very best things. And just a footnote, I would know these things because with over 4,300 friends on my Facebook wall, I can kind of look at my friends list and just cycle through and see who still doesn't have a profile photo. And I would say 98% of the cases people do. Sometimes it's not their face, sometimes it's an image, sometimes it's a design, sometimes it's a poster, whatever it is, but they got a profile photo. Take care.